Hi, Gideon.
Hi, sorry to be late.
No problem. How about we start with intentions and distractions? And if you just want to share how you're feeling, how you're doing today, and we can add some topics to the agenda together with the intentions for this call. So I'll pass to you, NT.
Thanks. So intentions, I guess, just keep discussing on pretty much what we have been talking about in Softgov about revenue for the TC. I'm also not sure what happened with the water boat. I'll give it a check now. Maybe if there's time, I would probably want to talk about the async communication thing abroad. And that's that, I guess. I'm feeling great today, honestly, and I don't have any distractions. I will pass it on to Bianca.
I think this is the second time that I'm in a Softgov call. My intention is to learn more about Softgov and be more present in different environments and calls of TEC to be more engaged with different activities. Now I'm more engaged with gravity and distractions. Now I would say that like my distraction now with college that I'm finishing, and I pass it to Bear.
Thanks, Bear. Yeah, I would like to praise NT for sharing this um DAO survey, health survey. I think it's super interesting, and it's something that we are also trying to somehow tackle in Gravity. And always, my intention is to see how can we connect our efforts in Gravity with the efforts that are similar in other working groups. And I don't know, I love this call of Softgov and participating in it. And my distraction is that I think I am still not used to work in the afternoon. I am still more used to work in the mornings, but yeah, trying to get used to it. And I'll pass to Gideon.
Thanks, Wonka. My intentions are really just learning more about Softgov, and I see a lot of connections with Communitas, and so I hope to help bridge those. Distractions would be I just haven't been getting a lot of sleep over the last couple nights, so my brain is a little bit fried. Let's see. I will pass to Teresa.
Well, yes, I have actually the same intention than most of you guys. It's just to learn more about governance. And my distraction for school would be that I have to pick up my girl from school in a little bit, but I'll be listening. And I'll pass it to, I don't know if CryptoSac went already.
Yeah, sure. So my intentions are to learn more about how soft governance fits into the overall token engineering commons, as well as share any thoughts or insights that I have on the topics that you bring up. I see that you're kind of focused on psychology, religion, personal development, which is all stuff that I've spent a lot of time researching. So I'd love to just share anything I can with you guys.
I can pass to Durgadas.
Yeah, so my intention is to talk a bit more about the religion and spirituality side of it, and to start my lobbying effort to get Softgov to be called decision making instead of governance. So that's my distraction is, as always, my full-time job. So if I have to drop out for some reason, it's usually going to be that. So I'm not sure who's going. Thanks.
I think I'm the last one. My intentions are to look at the forum post on the TEC ecosystem health that I posted and just see if there's any feedback, thoughts, immediate thoughts on it, any questions, and also to go over the document that Antti prepared. And I was curious about what do you mean, Durgadas? Call Softgov decision making instead of governance, but we can touch on that later.
Also, I
So,
forgot to mention I have a new graphic to share with you all. So thanks.
cool. So yeah, and I hear folks are mentioning wanting to understand more about what is Softgov. So I'll make sure to touch on that, especially when we get to look at the TC ecosystem health post. I'm so sorry for being messy with the agenda today. It was a back-to-back call and I should have prepared this before. So, Antti, would you like to start presenting the document you were working on? So in last call, last week, we were talking about voter apathy plus high quorum and what would be some ways to touch on that. How can we have more voter engagement, and what are some ideas? Then a lot of calls ideas started to pop up, like, oh, let's make a call to show all the proposals, or let's make a party to debate the proposals that are up. And then Antti shared how he felt we have too many calls and how there could be other ways for engagement. So he prepared a document for us to take a look today. I'll post here in the agenda, and you can go ahead and present it, Antti.
Sure, thanks. Well, I'll share my screen briefly. I'm not sure it's going to be that helpful because it's just a bunch of text, but whatever. So this is a small text I made this week about what I think could be not only nice for the TC, but also um, something rather needed for us. The issue per se is that, first of all, I counted roughly 13 calls, 13 syncs. That's without community calls and other activities like the psychology research. And so what I'm kind of having an issue with is the dependency on these meetings. Like, they aren't bad, but they are the for a lot of working groups, they are the only way to get some work done or sort of to get um, engaged in the working group. And that's probably something that we would want to change for various reasons. First of all, I guess for human-centric reasons that I think it's what we have been working towards. Um, I think this system based on meetings makes everyone like we all have to arrange our lives based on the TC instead of the TC sort of getting adapted to everyone else, if that makes sense. Um, but also, you cannot do everything in 1 hour. In pretty much every meeting I have been in the last weeks, uh, there are way more topics that we can cover in 1 hour, um, and then as we are not used to talk asynchronously, it's really hard to continue on the stuff if it's not on a meeting. Um, there are a few other things that I think could be like maybe issues, but I'll go through some points, through some benefits from working asynchronously. First of all, we can make more in less time. We don't have to wait a whole week. We don't have to. I've heard a couple of times when something gets brought up, we go like, okay, let's include that for the agenda. And like, why? We could be working on that right now, today, in the moment. We just have to chat about that. We can also have better feedback because uh, there has been times when, especially when there's a lot of people on a meeting, where we have to put a timer for everyone to think and comment on someone's ideas or something. And I think one benefit of doing it asynchronously is that everyone can take their time and think deeply about the issue, and then post whatever they think, whatever feedback they want. Uh, then about contributors. So I think many of us have the benefit to probably have ways to make a living that doesn't necessarily depend on on the TC, I guess, because my understanding is, I know there's a lot of people who attend a lot of these meetings that do it more for the passion or for the activities, uh, not necessarily because there's a precise contribution with a reward or whatever. Uh, but we are effectively excluding people that may also have something important to say, but may not have the time to attend a specific meeting in a specific hour uh, um, on the week. Um, that's it. And also, I was thinking about the reward system. My understanding so far is we have praise, but then we have source credit, which is going to look for contributors contributions at GitHub and also the forum. And I thought, like, in the current shape, the forum is just getting posts from mostly from working group coordination leads or stewards, because it's the forum is pretty formal right now, and it's hard for me to just post whatever and get any kind of engagement there. And so I think, well, at least on this current dynamic we use, that's probably not going to be fair. And so moving also to asynchronous communication or management can allow everyone, can give everyone the same opportunity to sort of get rewarded for the contributions and get more exposure and whatnot. Um, I'm almost finishing. My solution is to try and get a small pilot with two working groups that switch to working primarily async, and so they can either ditch their meetings, not have any more meetings, or they can maybe change them a little bit, like probably having less meetings, like 2 per month instead of one every week, or they can do it shorter, or have another dynamics within them. And what I think it's interesting is that if the pilot goes well, we can have we not only have more engagement on the forum or Discord or whatever we use, um, but also we may see people from each working group sort of cross collaborating. We may end up with access to more and better information as it is um, stamped into our discussion platforms. Um, and that was pretty much it. I shared the document with Gideon, with Livy, Edu, and some others. Um, they gave me great feedback. For example, Gideon says that Clarity could be a really nice tool for working this out, and I sort of agree. But I guess seeing Clarity is probably another topic for later. Um, and also Edu uh, told me that I could have a nice chat with Nate, and I think Nate is it. This could be a perfect timing because as he's in parental leave, he would probably benefit from working asynchronously, and so I DM'd him to ask like, what does he think could help him sort of stay in the loop of the TEC and contribute because he I've seen him in a couple of calls. He's still interested in trying his best to provide more value, and yeah, I think that's it for now. I don't know what else to say. I don't know if anyone has any comments or something.
I will say that I heard a similar thing in the Gravity group just about an hour ago. And there was a separate proposal for that, and I'll continue sort of bringing up that the async management is a different thing for sure. I will say that in the past, we've really valued collaboration, like the yes and sort of thing, you know, and I don't know where else we can do that than on calls, you know. So I had created a document about that that kind of talked about how I'd observed that people would generally operate, you know. So there was a moderator who was kind of holding a space, and there was what we'd already done, and then this kind of generative sets of discussions. It seems like what you're trying to do is say there might be a way to do all of this without having to be in meetings. Is that right?
Yeah, I think like meetings are cool and we should definitely keep them, but I think I think I should be able to contribute meaningfully to the TC without necessarily ever attending a meeting, and I don't think that's possible right now.
Yeah.
Or probably not ever attending a meeting, but I shouldn't have to come to a meeting like every single week to be able to engage with others and to continue my work or whatever. Because it's currently really hard to get any response on a forum post or on a Discord comment right now. So you have to enter the meeting to get anything going pretty much. So like it's more about the dependency on meetings that I don't like.
I have a couple thoughts. First of all, I just want to say I'm so glad that you're doing this, and I want to thank you and T for jumping on this because I feel like there's something really important here. Actually, one thought is in my last job, I would kind of like have meetings like that were kind of we would come up with the agenda maybe a couple days before and pull stuff together, but it was a lot of like getting people to respond on the spot in the call. And then one day, one of the people who I really value in the organization pulled me aside and he said, it would be great if you could send something out in advance or we had something I could work on because I'm an introvert. And, introverts don't like to be surprised with things like this. It's harder for me to actually respond on the spot. I like to have some time to be able to think about it. So I think that this is also there's like a personality thing that it's important for us if we really want to like be able to tap people. I think that's one other aspect. And then the other thing is, I
Neurodiverse
think
too will help a lot. Autism, yeah,
yeah,
that's really good. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is that I think, I just feel so sorry sometimes for the stewards in the TEC because I just feel like the stewards are just like being pulled from one meeting to the next, and everybody's so busy. And because we have this culture where these meetings are so important to getting stuff done, I just feel like it puts a lot of pressure on certain people who are like really key to like work getting done in this organization. And maybe this path will help relieve some of that. And then the last thing I'll just add is that we're actually kind of doing a version of this right now in the Writers Guild. We meet every other week, and we try to do these kind of like punctuated, almost like sprints. We're still figuring out because we're pretty new, but we are using Clarity and as a way to kind of manage our asynchronous collaborations. It's pretty young effort still, but I'm actually pretty hopeful that there's something here. And I guess I agree that there's like some kind of like maybe working group level types of things that might be better for Clarity, but that there's like community wide stuff that I would love to get the forum more active for those kinds of like broad conversations, like for broadening conversations. So
Sorry, Clarity is a software or?
yeah, sorry. It's a relatively new software. It kind of looks, it's like a mix. If you were to mix ZenHub with like a knowledge graph, like a knowledge management tool that allows you to do wikis and things like that, and then also DWork, because it allows you to do bounties and like do token-based rewards and things like that. It's a very cool system. Very cool system.
Is this it, Gideon? The one I opened now?
Let's see.
It is clarity.so. I just put the link in the agenda.
And those who are interested in learning more about this, I'm actually they reached out because they found out that they learned that we're using it for the Writers Guild, and so I'm actually in a group that's I think starting next week, where we're going to get like an hour and a half of training with a group of peers and just kind of learn from each other on how they're using it. So if people have questions about it or whatever, I'm happy to answer those separately.
Somebody said the link was in the agenda under async management. Is that what it is?
I actually think it's a really cool tool. I've been using it for like small projects with some friends, and yeah, I don't know if we want to spend some time talking about the tool, but yeah.
Zach,
I don't know.
you want to
Yep.
say something?
Oh, sorry, I just switched devices. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, I agree with Gideon. I think this is really great to have something on that. It's a hard culture to shift, but I think as we start doing more on trying more, I like your suggestion that a few working groups could start with that, and we can see how it goes. In the beginning, we had just one meeting that was the community call, and the idea was that call was not for doing work or for discussing so much. It was more for like presenting work and having any types of questions or suggestions for other things that could be worked on. And I think this is a good practice we could embrace again, to like and it goes with what you're talking about, Gideon, that we come to the call already with an understanding of what's going to be presented. The material is available in advance, and then people can look at it and come with questions or suggestions for how to change that for divergences or things that need to be debated.
Oh yeah, that was what I was just talking about. Maybe before you came.
Yeah, something on that point is I agree with you that sometimes, I mean, I agree that the time management could be way better, but I think it's very important to have introductions and to give space for everyone to talk in a meeting and to have some type of like, sometimes it's even a silly question, but it creates a warmth that I think it reflects in the community in a way that it's hard to understand at first. Even in the community call, to spend like 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes on praise, it's also a way for people to feel welcome and to have updates on what everyone is doing. And through these intros and all of the calls, we have learned so much about each other. And I think it creates bonds. I feel like it's a delicate thing to remove without considerably affecting the culture.
Um,
When I,
yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I just probably my last comment on the topic. What I was really envisioning when I wrote the piece was I took the I took the last Softgov call as an inspiration. So we talked about uh, we were supposed to talk about like the proposals we had, like the 5 proposals. Also, Gideon commented on his chat with MZ and all of that. And so, for example, I think Gideon's chat with MC would have been perfect for a forum post to receive more feedback and to have all the information sort of stamped in the forum so everyone could see that. And then about the 5 proposals, what I would think would be like a nice format for SoftGov, for example, would be like we work on them asynchronously using Clarity or whatever we feel more comfortable with. I have Clarity right now open, and so like um, when you go to like uh, the 5 proposal streams should be able to work without necessarily entering a call. And then if you enter the call is more like helping you solve any blocker or providing like very specific feedback. But it's not like the work revolves around talking in the meeting. So like that's something I think that's cool from Clarity. So like you can have the meeting, you can convert any point in the meeting to like a task immediately, and sort of I guess sort of take some examples from project management and put that into Softgov or something like that, and but uh, leave the leave the work for each one agency to work on however they want to work in and whichever way without necessarily having to step into here. And so I think that fits well with what Bear was saying. So you can have more time, you can have things prepared in advance because you sort of expect blockers in probably you have like a list of blockers that you may want to solve. You come to the call, you introduce yourself, intentions and instructions. You explain your work, your blocker. Everyone comments on the blocker, gives feedback, and it you set sort of an action plan to solve it or whatever. I think that would be probably ideal. And then things like the water proposal and Gideon's chat with MC and whatever should be better off on asynchronously because I don't think they are like uh, como that urgent. We don't need like immediate feedback for that. And it's those are things that need some time to sort of think about a response, a proper response. And yeah, I guess uh, that would be my take on Softgov, for example.
I actually agree with a lot that has been said. And another thing, like like this culture. And first of all, like when I first came to the DC, like this calls culture was, as many of us who what the warm welcoming and everything was the reason like I engaged with the community. But at the same time, I feel is not scalable. Like then you see like these communities on Discord with have like thousands of people in a call. Like there is no way like everyone can engage. So I really think like and even now like I feel we have a lot of calls. Like if you check the calendar, like it's like 4 or 5 calls a day, which is like half of the working time a normal person put in the. So if you try to join them all, it's like you either have to choose. So yeah, I think like a way like I think like calls can be nice to um I don't know, get work done and sync with the team, but then also have like something like like okay, what if I don't wanna engage with Softcore, but I wanna know what the Softcore group is doing the whole time. So yeah, some way of like I mean I think with the audit is covering a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I guess like to do the audit, you need to be everywhere. I don't know. Yeah.
I also want to say that I think that we can make a better use of liberating structures. We made like a fast review of some of these tools in the practice groups, but we can find some of them who can help us like deal with these problems of like a big amount of people in the same call, and how can we make it so that everyone feels heard. And something that we don't do is like making groups for these check-ins, and that can be like the one two for all, and that way we can spend less time making it that everyone can feel heard and participate. So yeah, I think that not everything should be like building new things or tools, and we also can like best make a better use of the tool of some tools that we already have explored. Yeah, I just liberating structures just comes into my mind to tackle that thing of how to make everyone feel heard and participate when there's a big group of people, and like the proposal that they make is making smaller groups. But yeah, I too agree that asynchronous work is something that would benefit a lot our work, because sometimes, at least I feel that I wait a week to meet again with the coordination group of Gravity to take some decisions, and it would be better to move without that timing constraint.
So it sounds like we have two options of tools. I feel like this is a win proposal, right? Everybody agrees that this would be amazing to try out. And it sounds like we have two tools or practices that we could use, either liberating structures or the clarity tool. So how can we move forward from this? Could we, I don't have much awareness into any of them. Could we experiment? Is there, well, NT has a proposal for how we could experiment with clarity. Maybe we could have a proposal for how we could use liberating structures, Juanca?
Yeah, for sure. I think Durgadas and Jeremy are really well informed in each of the tools, and it would be just to choose like two or three that are made exactly for the needs that we are finding in the TC, and trying to reproduce them in some calls. Also, having this kind of a structure of that NT was mentioning. I think it would be just to have a call with Durgadas and Jeremy, and trying to find what would be the best liberating structures to put into practice for our needs.
Well, like it's pretty obvious that things like the three W's, what, so what, now what is a good structure for things like the retrospective. Do you know what I mean? It's like perfectly made for a retrospective. So, but then 1, 2, 4 all is kind of the base. You know, engage everyone simultaneously in generating questions, ideas, and suggestions. But then, if the work that you're doing is about sorting challenges, then there's one called the agreement and certainty matrix that actually sorts things into simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic domains, which is the Cynefin stuff that I'm talking about. And there's like 30 of these. So I just feel like, um, continue to include them and using the different structures across different domains, um, would be good. So, it's just like we're often talking about how is it that we measure things. This is a thing called simple ethnography. observe and record actual behaviors of users in the field. So, there's just, what are we doing? Are we prototyping? Well, guess what? I've got improv prototyping, so it just, if you're trying to make a request, there's, what I need for you. So from you. So there's just, I feel like just having some either, sort of training and competence in this and going on within the stewards and other people who are running um, meetings might go a long way toward helping us solve some of the problems that NT's presenting to us now.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel a little resistant with having to be trained on something to use it. Like I feel like that creates another demand instead of a solution for a demand that is, maybe it's something that could be integrated slowly long term, and then we could start using something like
Yeah, that's all I'm suggesting.
Hmm?
That's exactly what I'm suggesting, that we just slowly over time, we adopt a few and then we say, oh, okay, well, are there others? That's why I got these cards, just so that I could look through things and make proposals about them on the fly, in meetings, to say, what, there's a liberating structure that covers this nicely. And, this kind of serve as reminders for me. So
I have
slowly over time.
a quick question. Like, I'm not really familiar with liberating structures, but I think like we can use both clarity and liberating structures. Clarity is like a piece of software, and liberating structures is like more like cultural, or I guess, or something like that. So like we could try to come up with just one proposal that gets the best of both, or something.
Yeah, or maybe within clarity, we could say there are different, modes that we could use to, and then just write down what the liberating structures are, so that when we go to have something, then there would be available to us, and have it be a way to educate ourselves about that as we did the work.
For those who are interested, I set up kind of an exploration space in Clarity. And right now it's just Enti and me, but I can send an invite for anybody who's, you know what, I'll just paste it in the Softgov channel. And that way, if anybody wants to just kind of explore the tool, you can do that and link around. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, let's so moving forward, let's see how we can continue to integrate both those suggestions, liberating structures and clarity. And we can hopefully work on that async. We can discuss along the week how to use that. And just before we finish this call, I just wanted to share a little bit more on this forum post and see if, just bring to the awareness and see if there's any questions on this. I think there's a lot of overlap because Juanca, you said Gravity is also looking into this, and I think it was important to write it down exactly because of that, for work not to be doubled. And yeah, so just there's an explanation of how we would like to build a metric system for understanding the TEC's ecosystem health based on Ostrom's 8 principles. And then there is a list of like what are some examples of each one of the principles. And I wrote here that graduated sanctions need a little bit more work because it still feels somehow unclear. I know that we are big on a prevention culture, but it would be good to have consequences for if our boundaries are overstepped also. And we can think more on that. So yeah, just wanted to see if there's any questions or comments on it.
I think
Yeah,
it's awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, I also loved the thread, and I also think that instead of overlapping, we should try to integrate and coordinate to benefit from one side to another. What we're trying to do with gravity and the psychology research is to have a survey um, to measure how is the psychology of the organization, and take decisions based on that, and also repeat the tooling so that we can have like a baseline or a comparison line for between a period of time. And I think that the one that NT sent in the chat, it was amazing. That I looked at that tool, and I think we can sort of iterate with that to not start with zero. And yeah, I think it's super important to not overlap and to not like spend resources on the same thing, but like be able to coordinate between the multiple working groups. That on the measuring the ecosystem health, that gravity is trying to measure and to help measuring the psychology of the organization, the psychological state of the organization. And on the other side, about liberating structures, I felt that we did these practice groups and that they were super interesting, but I felt that maybe the impact on the organization wasn't so big. But I feel that right now that we had a group that was like more trained in the tools, that were the people that participated in the Graviton trainings, they can be multipliers of the toolings. And like this was also something that we spoke, that the liberating structures practice groups would have been really super useful for the stewards, but there were few stewards that were participating in those calls. So right now that we saw that these toolings were really cool, now we have to like care more for the implementation and for the social appropriation of the toolings.
Yeah, I wanted to share I don't know if you saw the questions that the Talent DAO team developed. So here are some of them that I think we could use. This feels like a lot of what would be maybe the survey you're talking about and the psychology axis. We could get a lot of questions from here. And I like how they break down from just different topics: belonging, burnout, communication, contributor alignment, group cohesion.
I also think that it's better to use this tooling because then we can have like compared results with other DAOs that use the same tool, and not like having a different tool from other DAOs, because then it would be difficult to make this comparison.
Any other comments, questions here?
Yeah, I sure would have liked to have seen more stewards in the liberating structures group. I think a lot of the things that we're doing in terms of efforts across the organization, and that changes that people want, if they go on for too long, we end up with a lot of sort of novel solutions. But those things could often be, fixed by implementing and competence at dealing with um, the liberating structures. It's extremely beautiful to me. So thanks.
Okay, so we can end 2 minutes early. And yeah, and just continue chatting about how to move forward with the async management.
Thank you.
Sounds cool. Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everybody.
Bye.